Good afternoon and welcome to Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch with my beautiful co-stars, Veronique Arsenault and Judy Loge joining me.
We pay her well to say that.
It sounds like a movie.
It just flows right out of my mouth. It
We
just
pay her
comes
well.
so naturally.
Well, that's so, and you said you were
are.
authentic last week, so thank you.
There you go.
It is so true. Thanks for joining us today. We have a great show lined up for you today. We have a number of great guests here to talk to us a lot about some very interesting things that are happening here in Miramichi. But first, we're going to start off. We usually do like a thought or a question of the day, but you have a thought-provoking question all in one for us today.
I do. So I have three to choose from. So it was
three.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go with whichever one.
Okay.
So and then if we
we're not going to get the same question. Possibly?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
Put
All
your
right.
thinking cap on.
Okay. Well, I'll ask you the same question first. So, is it more important to love or to be loved?
You going to go first? Because it pops right into my head instantly.
Okay, say that again.
Is it more important to love or to be loved?
To love.
Yeah.
To love.
Okay.
Because I feel like when you give love, you can't help. You know what I mean? Like that alone makes you feel better, a better person for loving someone else.
Yep. Okay.
I'd say the same thing, except that if to be loved means that you know what it's like to receive, so then you can give it back.
Yeah, I'm more along with Judy actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True,
and also because sometimes it's hardest to love yourself.
I know.
And if you know that you're loved, right?
Then you can be loving of others.
Then it's easier to love somebody else.
But you can't make someone love you.
Yes, you can. I did.
No, but that's not about making somebody, right? But it's
exactly.
I mean, you hope somebody.
Well, give us another one. Let's
right.
now that we're on a roll here thinking.
That one wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Go ahead.
Which is worse?
Which is worse?
Failing or never trying?
Never trying.
Never trying. Totally never trying.
Yeah.
We've all failed.
From failing comes growth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
It sucks though.
It does.
It does, but it makes you a tougher person. I think you have to fail. I'm reading the biography on Shania Twain, and her quote was amazing. It's like, if we never have anything bad happen to us, how do we ever have a challenge?
I used to say that to my mother. This was a teenage thing. If my mother's watching, she's going to shoot me. But I can remember her like having all those rules and guidelines being a teenager, and she would tell me, I just don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. Yeah. And even at 16 years old, my immediate response was like, if I don't make any mistakes, how am I going to learn anything?
Yep.
Yeah, and I understand, and I agree with you. I do, and I think I agree that I never want to get to the end and think I didn't show up. Right? I never want to get to the end and think, I should have done this or this or this.
No.
But sometimes it's really tough.
Oh, we know
to fail.
It is, but we all have. There's nobody in life that doesn't fail something.
No, I have a daughter who's interested, my youngest one, interested in going out for an audition for a play that's coming up, and it's something singing and acting. She loves to do it. But as soon as I said, oh, by the way, I got the email for the auditions, she just, I hate that part. As much as she loves to want to do those things, to fail, because she sort of froze at her audition last year, and I'm like, but every time you do it, you will grow and get better and become more comfortable.
I think that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, and I agree. I mean, I'll try anything pretty much once, but all right. So my last one. I may as well ask you all three.
Okay.
Okay. What small act of kindness was I once shown that I will never forget?
I've had so many.
I know, right?
An act of kindness. Oh my gosh, Veronique, I've had so many people do so many nice things for me that I'm thinking, you just did that out of the blue to appreciate me. I don't know. I've had so many.
I'm like, to me personally, or a story that I've heard?
No, you.
To me. Okay.
Yeah. I can tell you lots of stories.
For me, I'd have to say the one that sticks right in my head that's most memorable, that really, really touched my heart, was when I went and opened up my salon. The first day that I was open, it was a Tuesday, and I was working later. And at the end of the day, one of the last client that I had, of course, was one of my girlfriends from our crowd of 20 from our friend Maureen and stuff that we had gone to LA with. And as I was finishing cutting her hair, they all embarked on my salon to show up to give me this gift of a leopard print high heel chair.
Yes, of course.
That sits in my salon, that accents my beautiful bathroom at the salon. And it was just so touching that they planned this, that they must have had a conversation doing those secret little Facebook groups like that I've been part of to surprise somebody else, that I was on the receiving end of that for a change. And I was like, it really touched me. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought of one, a small act of kindness, which means the world to me, is that my mother, who is just the most amazing person, has been saving beautiful childhood books, etc., and albums, and giving them to me. And one's a pink book of all the people that attended my first birthday party.
All of those things.
Yes, and pictures, and just really wonderful.
Now that you're older, you're getting those things
and they mean
back,
so much, but it's hard at the same time.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah. Well, funny enough, mine has to do with the restaurant. So my second flood was when post-tropical storm Arthur hit.
Yes.
Right? So it was like gale force winds, the waves were coming up over Waterford Green, and everybody in a monster truck decided that they had to drive through the back of, which is Logie Drive, and see how high the waves would go once they plowed through it, right? So every time they did that, the waves would hit our businesses all along Logie Drive, and so it flooded, and it flooded my basement, which is where all my fridges and my food was. So anyway, so I was, huffing and puffing, and Dad and I had been, pumping water since 8 o'clock that morning, and, I was like, okay, whatever, here we go again. And I'll never forget a friend of mine, Kara Scott, dear, dear friend of mine, she texted me and she said, I'm going to come over and help you. I'm like, no, really, I'm okay. She said, no, Shane and I are coming, her and her husband. He wasn't her husband at the time. She said, we're coming over. And I said, okay. She said, do you want me to bring the shop back? And I laughed, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I laughed, and she's like, we're on our way. So okay, fine. So and she arrived, and she had rubber shoes on, and I had like thousands of dollars worth of food down there, and we were catering for $250 the next day. So anyway, so Kara goes tromping down the stairs, and I'm behind her, and she goes, oh, when she got to the bottom of the stairs, because the water was hip height.
Too.
It was hip height, right? And so she goes, I don't think the shop vac's going to help. And actually, we both started laughing because as I saw my $200 bag of shrimp floating down, floating across the basement. But she and Shane stayed there for hours with me.
You'll never forget it.
Never forget it. Yeah. And you know what? And we've been even dearer friends since then. But she and Shane stayed there for hours with me, helping me carry up stuff, helping me empty it.
And save
and I mean, we were able to save the food for the next day, but I'll never forget. And like she just texted me. She said, I'm on my way.
So it means the world. Little things can mean the world.
Exactly. That's just it. Because it wasn't the gift that the girls had bought me. It is the thought that they planned this to do this specifically for me that was more touching than anything else.
Collective gift.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to move on to some other. Today is September the 11th.
Yes.
9/11, 16th anniversary of 9/11. Yeah. So that's a little bit hard. You have some statistics for us there in case there's.
Do you remember where you were?
Because I know we all. Yes, I was pregnant.
And on a really positive note, on a very dismal subject, I want to wish a 21st birthday to my happy birthday to my niece Lauren.
Oh yes.
Lauren's in Fredericton, and she's a beautiful girl. And if you're watching, Lauren, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Lauren.
Yeah, and it's Billy, my husband Billy's 50th birthday today as well.
Really?
So that's a happy. Yes, he turns 50 today.
Yeah. So. And my cousin Maria.
Today too.
Yeah.
So see, there's some light at the end of this sad day that I'll never forget. And yes, I remember where I was. We were doing the production of The Owl and the Pussycat at Jameson Hill, and my friend Stefan and I were the two stars in it. And I was delivering a ticket to John Kerr's home, and John Kerr is a well-known community member, and he said, I'll have a ticket or two, Judy, and he bought some, and he said, meet me here at my house. I have the coffee pot on. I went down there. He said, come see the news.
Oh my God.
That's where I was, at John's living room, watching the screen, going, oh my God.
Yeah, I was right in the living room, sitting on the couch. I was pregnant and waiting for Billy to get ready. We were going to go pick up his check that day. It was grocery day, and I remember him coming down the stairs and saying, what are you watching? And I'm looking at the TV going, I thought I was watching a movie. Like I think this is real.
Yeah.
Horror story.
And for 3 days, I sat in front of the TV.
Everybody did, yeah.
Oh my land!
16 years ago.
Yeah, I was well. We were. I was working retail then in Ottawa, and we were opening a brand new store called Les Ailes de la Mode, and it was a
my store.
yes, that one. It was the first time it had opened a store. It was a high-end department store, and it was the first time I'd opened a store outside of Quebec. And so we had worked for weeks getting everything set up. They were having the grand opening. They invited the Prime Minister at the time.
Wow.
And they had all this tent set up in the parking lot. And I was getting my hair done that morning. I was actually at the salon at the store, and I remember listening to the news. I was reading a book, and I remember listening to the news, and I thought, this can't be true. Yeah. And then I was driving home, and the radio station, it's called Hot 89.9, and they're very, you never hear real heavy news on, it's a very upbeat,
they keep it, they keep it
yeah,
light
and I
and
remember
airy.
it didn't stop from morning till night, and I was like, this has got to be serious. If Hot 89.9 is running the news this constantly, it's got to be serious. And I remember for days.
It was serious, all right.
Watching,
It really
yeah.
The
was
worst
serious.
incident in U.S. history,
Yes.
actually, single worst disaster.
So the World Trade Center was built in 1970. Number of people working in the World Trade Center on average, okay, prior to 9/11, 50,000 people worked in those two buildings. Wow. Number of daily visitors, 140,000. So it had the potential to be, although it was an incredible tragedy, it actually had the potential to be even worse.
Yes.
Okay. So number killed that day in the Twin Towers and the aircraft, 2,823. The distance in miles from which the burning towers were visible, so 20 miles you could see them. And maximum heat in Fahrenheit, 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the number of days that underground fires at the World Trade Center continued to burn, 69.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah. So there was one stat actually that kind of was really sobering. Number of orphans created by the 9/11 attack, 1,300.
I never knew that. Never heard tell of the amount of little children left behind.
Yeah.
There were 343 firefighters and 73 law enforcement officers whose lives were taken. So this is firefighter currently in New York who is calling it 373 workout. And he's getting all the men, women, and children who have survived to come down just to mark the day, to honor those, remember those whose lives have been taken. And I guess because he's a firefighter. Yeah. So it's, He gets them all together and works out. And they do a great big, gym thing together.
Really?
And
No, have you been down?
Yeah, I have been down.
There.
I have not. I've been to New York 8 times.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been down.
Yeah.
I went down shortly after it happened, before the memorial was built. So they still had the fence up, and they were cleaning up the mess.
I did
Zero?
I did drive by.
So I went down to Ground Zero. We were on foot. Some of the girls from the salon, we were taking a course. And when I stood on the corner where the fire department is right here, I can reach out and touch it, and the World Trade Centers were right. I kept looking back and forth going, the fire department was right there. I was surprised it was still standing, that it didn't suffer any damage, but the men would have just ran like literally across the street to help.
Can you imagine though? 343 firefighters and 73 police officers.
I can't even imagine. And still, there's still stories coming out of people,
for sure.
Heroic feats from that day, and you still see when you see the pictures and the devastation. It's just incredible.
I remember we went to New York a lot since we've been married, which is it's coming up to 29 years, and we were in the World Trade Centers. We saw them go down. We didn't say that we saw them go down. We saw the aftermath later on, where there was still one building affected by the hit from the plane, and then we saw them restored, and then we saw the wall built with all the memorial in it. So we were just there last year, actually, and they have it all in place now, and there's a hotel directly across from it, so you're looking out at it. It's still mind blowing to me.
It is.
To watch it have been there, disappear, and then be
16 years.
Yeah.
No,
So our hearts go out to those
definitely those that are
thinking about their loved
remembering
ones.
today and thinking, yes, definitely, for sure. Lots of television this past weekend, especially last night. We had the Miss America, not we or Canada, Miss America, and the CCMAs.
I
were
saw
last night. You saw
a little bit
of
of
both.
Miss America. It's the first
You
time.
were toggling back and forth.
Yeah,
Right?
first time Miss North Dakota won in history.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh,
She
wow.
gets a $50,000 scholarship, and she's going
Nice.
into law at Notre Dame. And she was just really interested. They asked her about the climate change, and she thought that yes, U.S. President did the wrong thing by not being part of the
By withdrawing from the Paris
withdrawing
Accord.
from the Paris Accord. She came right out and said it. She said, in my
Yeah.
opinion, he did the wrong thing. So she was
okay. Good for her.
she opened
Yeah.
up a lot of different doors there.
Exactly.
And,
That's
and not
just
to make light of what's going on in the States, we're going to talk about that in a second, but there is this meme on Facebook, and it's, you know, whenever we do something dumb on camera, it's
Okay.
always hold my beer,
Yeah.
right? Somebody
Yeah.
says, oh, you can't do that, and somebody says, watch, hold my beer, watch
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Right, so there's one that says, doesn't it seem like after the president said that climate change doesn't exist, that Hurricane Irma went, hold my beer?
Exactly.
Love that.
Oh my land, that is so true. That is so true.
But global warming and climate change are
yeah.
often used the words interchangeably, but there is a difference there.
Oh,
One's
yeah.
one and one's the other, although they're mixed in all the time. One's about the
No.
temperature of the planet,
Yeah.
and the other one's about all the glaciers
Everything
being,
that's happening, yeah.
changing
Just
and
it.
ice
Well,
melting.
I want to jump in and just say thoughts and prayers with everyone
Yeah.
who is experiencing in any way, shape, or form, or loved ones that are going through, that are along that path of
Yeah.
destruction.
Huh.
And we actually have a number of New Brunswick, if not Canadian,
Oh, yeah, for
power trucks down, waiting to help the minute
Yep.
that things settle, so that they can get in there and restore power.
It's surreal.
And
Yep.
it really is. I just can't help but feel helpless, like if you were actually down there and couldn't get out, like it's like with the flood that you had and the water's coming in. What do? You can't
Yep.
stop it, like it's
Water
coming.
is so
Water
Is so destructive, and we
It
don't
is.
think it
It's
like,
like
you think,
fire.
oh, well,
It's
it's a little
rain.
rain,
No,
right?
no,
It's-
no,
So
no.
things get
No.
wet. But I mean, once a flood happens in a building, right? I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I know.
You sure do.
I know intimately what happens.
And
It
water gets
seeps
in-
into
It goes
everything.
It can get into
every
a little crack.
No,
Little
and that's
nook
just
cranny.
it. And I mean, not to go to the more disgusting side of things, but I mean, sewage and everything runs underwater, and like the things that are going to happen after all is said and done, and the wind and the rain stops, is going to be astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, just
those
to
people, millions of people, are going to require.
Well, I wouldn't be heading to Florida this fall.
No.
Right? I mean, if I had
No.
plans to go to Florida this
No.
fall,
They have to
wouldn't
do
be
all the
doing it.
restoration. They have to
Yeah,
do all the picking up
exactly.
the debris.
No,
They
that's
have
just
to
it.
get the nursing
Even
home
going down
patients
south
back
to
in
some
and
of the
hospitals.
islands, they're gone.
Yeah,
Like,
95% of all buildings damaged in Barbuda.
go on.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's sad is Irma just came right after Hurricane Harvey, like just
Exactly.
on the heels,
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yep.
That's just it. And if
Louisiana,
I'm not
Texas,
mistaken, there's another one
and then
brewing.
Florida.
Yeah, there's three.
Oh.
There's another one
There's three that
brewing.
kind of
yes,
converged.
definitely
That
not
was the
too
biggest
far
problem.
away.
So thoughts and prayers to those folks
Yes.
in the country next to us.
Most definitely. We want you to stay tuned. We're going to be joining us next, Dr. Roxanne McKnight and April Richardson, who are going to be here talking to us about the Run for Cure. So don't go away. We'll be back with more Have a Chat after the break. Welcome back to more Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch. Joining us now, we have Dr. Roxanne McKnight and April Richardson. Hello, ladies.
Welcome to Have a Chat.
Thank you.
So you're here to talk to us about a very important subject, Run for the Cure. But first, we'd like to find out a little bit about you guys. April, if you want to give us...
Sure. My name is April Richardson. I am a 4-year cancer survivor.
Okay.
I sit on the planning committee. I was asked to join to sit on the planning committee for CIBC Run for the Cure.
Good girl. Survivor. We love that.
Yeah. You must have been quite young.
I was young.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you were diagnosed.
Yes.
We're going to talk more about that.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk more about your experience.
And I'm Roxanne McKnight. I'm a family physician in Miramichi. I've been working here for 22 years now, and I grew up in Miramichi as well, so I came back home to work. And we started the Run for the Cure last year. It was the first year that we had it, so this is our second annual CIBC Run for the Cure.
So you say CIBC, they're the overall main sponsor.
They're
Are there
the
other
major
sponsors?
sponsor.
Are they in
They're the
conjunction with other sponsors?
There are other sponsors, but
they're
CIBC is the main
the head
sponsor.
one.
Yes, and they've been
Okay.
sponsoring this for 20 years now.
They do it nationally,
It's
right?
run all across
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, 60 communities across Canada.
That's what I heard.
On the same day across Canada.
So what made you
Beautiful.
decide then to bring it to Miramichi or to get it going in
I'd
Miramichi?
heard about this for a while, and I thought we need this in Miramichi. I mean, it's a big issue here, just as it is everywhere else.
Sure.
So just inquired about it. It took a couple of years because it's a big organization, and they used to have it in Bathurst actually, but then Bathurst stopped having it, so they said Miramichi.
Oh.
Do you want to do one there?
I'm
And
proud to
we
say
did.
we're doing that.
Yes, right.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So this is a huge fundraiser to raise money for research.
Yes,
Is it,
it's,
or-
it raises money for breast cancer research to help in detection, diagnosis, and treatment for breast cancer. It also funds support programs for breast cancer survivors, and
Oh yes.
April can certainly tell you about that side of things.
Well, and I thought that was really interesting, April. We were talking about that a little bit off the air, and you actually benefited from it.
I actually did.
Yeah.
Yes, going through my treatment, traveling back and forth from Miramichi to Moncton. They helped sponsored me with travel,
Okay.
so I personally got to dip into it. And if it wasn't for them, I was very, very, very fortunate. And
Very grateful to them.
grateful,
Yeah.
grateful
Mhm,
to
you
them.
are.
Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how it all started?
No problem. I'm the one who detected my lump.
Okay.
Therefore, and then I
At
proceeded.
what age, if you don't mind me asking? Because you're not. I'm looking at her going,
Young looking.
yeah, you don't have
Well,
to
you are
be
a
much
young
older.
woman.
Why are you grinning at me?
35. I was 35 when I was diagnosed.
Okay.
Yes, and I had a
That
very
seems
young
extreme.
family.
Okay.
Yeah, I had 2 children, so they were 3 and 5 at the time.
Wow.
So you can attest to the fact that self-examination is key.
It
Like
is
it's very
important.
vital part of your
Very important.
female checkups.
That's
your
right.
self-exam.
It just so happened that where mine was detected, I sleep on that side,
Okay.
so I detected it.
Oh.
And you went immediately to seek attention by your
Immediately.
to
I went to
physician.
my doctor, and then right from there, just went to mammogram followed by ultrasound, which
Wow.
they detected right away.
Okay.
Always afraid to get that call back, but sometimes it's just that the
Yes.
screen needs to be, a little bit more clear as to what they're looking
Yeah,
at, or
exactly.
they call you back just to say, something serious such as yours.
Yeah.
So it can go either way.
Absolutely,
But you're a survivor,
I am.
and
I am.
that's you have a big smile on your face because you deserve to. You've battled that with 2 young children, trying to go through treatment with little kids at home
That's right.
and feeling ill.
Ill, yes,
Ill.
very ill. Yeah. Just them trying to explain to my young children what it is that I'm going to be going through and the process.
When you probably didn't understand it yourself.
I
well
was
enough, right?
learning myself,
Yeah.
and then having to tell them. I had to tell them in words that they will know.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That they will
Exactly, because it can be scary for the children as well. Because I have
Yes.
another friend of mine with all the visual things that the children will see that mommy's going to go through. It's really can be scary for them, I would
Yes.
think.
Very
You
much.
know.
Very much.
So, so then you got involved with Run for the Cure.
Yes, I was asked.
Okay.
I was actually asked if I would be able to help sit on the planning committee, and I gladly accepted.
Wow.
Yes.
And so, how long does it take you all to put this together?
We usually start in the spring,
Yeah.
and so it's a bit of work over the summer. But yeah, we've got a great committee. We've got about 15 people sitting on our committee that help in various ways. And even on the day of last year, we had so many more people just come out and volunteer and help us to make it a success.
And you do not have to be a person who survived breast cancer dealing with
No.
or having a family member that's had it or a physician. It can be anyone like us 3 women that would
Anybody.
take an interest
The
in
3 of us are.
Anybody.
We're gonna run.
Well, no, but
No.
on the committee to
Oh my
help
God.
to try to
Yeah.
organize it.
Oh
I thought
yes,
you meant the
oh
run.
It
yes.
can be anybody.
For the
We
committee, or
yeah.
even on the day of the run, if people don't feel
Which
like.
is when?
And the run is
What-
October the 1st.
Yes, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
let's get the date in there. October the 1st.
October the 1st, and it's
Okay.
going to be at the Kin Center.
Okay.
And we usually get people to come in and register around 11. We have a program that with a bit of music that starts around noon, and the actual run starts at 1. And we keep saying run, but it can be a walk too. It can be a walk. Yeah.
I walked.
I walked. How far is
Yeah.
Running.
You can either do 1 kilometer or 5 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
1
not
to
it's
5.
not too bad. And we had one man last year who did a 5 kilometer walk, and he had had a stroke not too long before that, and he did the whole 5
Good
kilometers.
Wow.
for him.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of the type of money that's brought in following the event that does go towards what you're aiming for? It's like research for cancer. And
So yeah, last year our local run raised $34,000.
wow. Little area.
We were really
One
pleased.
day.
That's incredible.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, so it's a fantastic contribution. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's
So
amazing.
what are the stats? Would I be fairly accurate to say 1 in 9 Canadian women throughout a lifetime would experience breast
That's
cancer?
exactly
Is it
right.
exactly
Yes.
right?
1 in 9.
1 in 9.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Which is really high. Yeah.
It's very high.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also not only elderly, but it affects young as well.
I was gonna say, is that 1 out of 9? That's
It's at a
any
different,
age.
and usually they say to have your mammogram like 40 years and older.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think of those who are not only
A 20-year-old.
before.
Well, the stats have changed because
They
I
have
can
changed.
remember being in my late 30s wondering, should I have a mammogram? And I remember going to my doctor and she said, well, no, we don't start them until 50. But within that same year, she was calling me because the numbers had changed and they start at 40. And I was like, wow, really? Okay, I'll be right over.
And the recommendations change all the time.
Do
Yeah,
they?
They're kind
Yeah.
of back to 50, but
Yeah.
in circumstances, if you have a strong family history,
Right.
or if you ever notice anything, of course,
Yeah.
they would
If there's anything they're
investigate it
keeping
right
an eye
away.
on from the past,
Yeah,
things
I've
that change.
had a mammogram.
Yeah, I've had mammograms.
They
I've had a
are
biopsy.
Fun experience.
They are the most fun you can have. But you know what?
Maybe we should go on my birthday.
But you know what? And I'll tell you though, you know, because really, I know women, we talk about it all the time, right? You know,
Yes.
nobody wants to go for the mammogram. They squish
No.
the parts that you don't
Yeah.
want squished. But and my problem was always, there I am standing, you know, for all the birds to see.
Exposed.
Yeah, and you know, then the nurse has to position everything, and you're like, oh my god. But they don't even.
They're so comfortable
They-
doing
you know,
it.
and they're
They see them all
yes,
the
you know,
time.
I'm awkward because it's me, but they're like, whatever, it's just another body part, right?
I know.
So we need to get over that. We
Yeah.
need to get
Yeah.
over that feeling. I know a lot
Yeah.
of friends of mine don't go for that reason.
Yeah.
That they're, you know, they feel
It's
uncomfortable,
uncomfortable,
or
it's
it hurts,
painful,
and
or
it does,
how
but
long?
it's
A few
over
seconds.
in seconds.
Yes,
So
it
you know,
doesn't-
we need to advocate for more of that.
Oh,
And it can happen
definitely.
with males too.
Yeah.
It's not a high percentage of males that
No, it's
get
very
breast
low
cancer.
percentage. It's more like 1 in 1,000 for
Oh, wow.
males.
Oh,
One
is
in
it?
1,000.
Yeah.
But it's still, you know, it still
No,
happens.
that's just it.
But hasn't
Yeah.
there been like almost a 45% decrease in breast cancer since the 80s?
It's a decrease in breast cancer mortality. So the
Yes.
treatment has improved so much, and the detection is better. We're picking it up earlier, and
So we're getting there.
less people are actually dying. More people are surviving,
Wow.
which is wonderful.
That's
So
good
if I
news.
wanted to run for the cure, if I wanted to register, can we do that now?
Sure, you can do that now. The best way to do it is online.
Okay.
You just go to CIBCRunforthecure.com.
Okay.
And that's the best way to do it. You can pay online, and if you register early, then you get a T-shirt, and you don't have to stand in lineups on the day of the run and that sort of thing. So that's the best way to do it. We're encouraging people to put teams together as well.
Oh,
And a lot of
nice.
people last year we had some really neat teams. They all dressed up
Okay,
in pink tutus and
creative.
wigs.
Oh, I like
and-
that.
It
Makes
was
it
always
fun.
fun.
and they did
Yeah.
it in support. Most of them did it in support of someone that they knew who had breast cancer.
So there's over 100,000 people that would have participated in this race last year in Canada.
Across Canada, not in Miramichi.
No, in
Across
Canada. I'm like, Canada.
That would be something to say.
Would you
I
say?
would love to have that.
104,000 in cross Canada.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it's
there
incredible. Yeah,
group?
yeah.
How many do we have in
We had over 200 here.
Wow.
That's nice.
Oh,
It's
really?
growing then.
And that was only our second one.
200 people
I mean, our
raised.
first one.
Your
34
first
Our
one
first
got
one.
200.
Yes.
Yes.
200 people raised $34,000.
Well, and we also had some sponsors. We had some,
Okay.
companies
Yes.
locally stepped up and gave donations. Tim Hortons and
Amazing.
Honda and Remax. And
Good,
so
good,
it was
good.
great.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and it's Miramichi.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It
It's
is.
true.
It
You know,
is.
Miramichi never ceases to amaze me. You know,
No,
it's
not when
there's
it
always
comes to
something.
something like that, and
It's
something
true.
that's so important and touches so many,
very true.
unfortunately.
So
right?
do you need volunteers still for this event to get everybody, there are people you have in place for music playing, and is there going to be food or anything else, or do you have to have somebody there to kind of oversee, where it starts and ends, and
Make sure everybody's okay running, or
If people are
Water.
interested in volunteering, we'd love to have them.
you need them?
And
Yes.
they can show up on the day, and we can say, "Can you stand here and make sure that everybody turns this corner?"
Yes.
And,
You
that
always
sort
need
of thing.
volunteers.
Yeah,
no,
it can never
that's just
hurt.
it. That's a way of helping too. If you can't help financially, you know what I mean, to have
That's
that
right.
extra
Walk or
pair of
run.
hands.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's just it.
So April, to people I know that are out there, for example, a couple of my friends are undergoing, a lot of treatment for breast cancer, and it's very aggressive in some points. I have a few friends actually. Could you just give a positive message to those people that are struggling or thinking, they're fearing for their lives, but that there is hope at the end of the tunnel?
For me, as hard as it was, think positive. Laugh. Laughing was my best medicine. My kids made me laugh, doing the funniest little things, making little messages, laugh. And it just lifts your spirit, lifts and just overall.
Look for positive things
Look
to do
for
in your
So
life.
positive
even on your
things in your
darkest
life.
days when you weren't feeling
Exactly.
right.
I was, yeah. I as bad as it was, I made it positive. And through with help of my family and
So you're a
my
good
kids.
mentor, actually,
April's
too.
got a great outlook. And
Great
she's,
outlook.
I did not let it
inspiring
get
others
down.
now too. She runs a support program in Miramichi for breast cancer
Oh,
survivors.
lovely.
Okay.
So on the subject, I know we're talking about the cure, the run for the cure, but could you give us any more ideas, Dr. McKnight, on cancer affecting us in different ways, like foods that we eat and different, just a little bit of overall, a picture of health regarding our breasts?
Sure. Well, I mean, breast cancer, the majority of breast cancer is not caused by something we do. The majority of it would just be genetic, but there are certain things you can do to try and prevent it, and that would be eating healthy, like you said, exercising, drinking less alcohol. That's a big one, which is connected to breast cancer.
Really?
Alcohol.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that one.
Pretty
either.
lucky there that I don't drink much.
And smoking as well.
Yeah.
And I don't
For me,
smoke.
of course.
Stop.
But also self-examination. You should always, you're in the
Always.
shower.
Yeah.
It just takes a few
It
minutes.
just takes a few minutes.
I'll be
I
blunt,
agree
some
there.
people do not know how to do a proper
True enough.
breast exam. They pat
true.
like this, they do not know. Sometimes you have fibrous tissue, correct?
Yes.
And you don't know a lump from,
Yeah.
which is a normal little fibrous tissue, to an actual malignancy. So, Dr. McKnight, could you touch on that, like when you do your
Yeah, and
exam?
so it's very hard to tell, and people say that to me all the time. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Right.
But if you have anything you're worried about, just go see your family doctor.
Right.
That's
Well,
what
we
I would
could
say.
ask April, actually. You must have, what was it to you that when you felt this, that you were like, this is totally different? This is, I got to get this checked. What were some of the things that you...
The symptoms that I've had?
Yeah.
Well, when I first detected it, using the palm, like this part of your hand,
Yeah?
to find out what it was. And then it was a hard substance that didn't move.
Okay.
And it wasn't, how it could
Wasn't
be.
squishy. Like
It wasn't
moving, yeah.
squishy.
It was
wasn't
solid.
It was solid, and it
Okay,
didn't
and it's
move.
usually not painful, right?
It wasn't actually.
Was
It
yours
was.
tender?
It was.
If
Mine
you-
was tender. It was. In
To
the
me,
part
if you
where
were
it was.
trying to move it and manipulate it some, I would think you would eventually irritate the tissue around it.
Also, you can look for itchiness.
A rash.
Okay?
You can look for dimplings in your.
okay.
Yeah. Just any
Abnormal.
different changing in breast structure of your
So I'd
breast.
have to say, actually, I recently called my doctor to schedule a mammogram because of with this big weight loss that I did and losing the 35 pounds
Imagine.
that I have off now. I notice a lot of differences.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, you would.
I'll be calling a plastic surgeon for some of
Oh,
them.
stop.
No, I'm just like,
Yeah.
were all of these things that I'm noticing, were they
Yes.
there before? And what's this over here? And what's
Sure.
that over
Yeah.
there? And
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to get that all checked right
Yeah.
here, right now to make sure that that's still
There's
just
so
all
much
normal.
tissue in the breast. There's so
But-
much tissue.
Yeah.
There is, because I had, I was very large and very fibristic, I think she said to me. So it was always really hard to tell what's something to be concerned
What's
about.
normal
What
and
isn't?
what's not.
Yeah, exactly.
So Dr. McKnight saying, if in question, go to see your family
And so that's
physician.
what I did. I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to get it checked.
Yeah, to be on the safe side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
That's just
exactly.
it. So I'm waiting.
And then you have to go after, what is it, a 5-year slate of health before you can say I'm cancer free? Like you've passed that mark now.
Well, climbing. I'm climbing. I'm on year 4.
Good girl.
Yes.
You look so
yes.
healthy too.
Thank you. I've been working at it very hardly. And
really good.
Yes. Actually, they do the first 5, and then they also do a hormone pill called tamoxifen or what have you, a hormone pill, and they actually extended that to 10 years. So.
Very good.
Yes. Yeah.
So now, did you have to do chemo and radiation?
I did both.
Surgery,
I did.
all of it.
I
You
did
lost
all of
your
it.
hair?
I lost my hair.
And now you have this funky doo-doo.
I do.
Just to
My-
mark that you're back
I
and
used
better.
to have beautiful curly hair, and now it come back straight.
Yeah.
So
And
I
I've
had
heard
to
that
chop
from a
it.
lot of people.
Yes.
They either had
You
like
can.
straight hair and it came back curly, or
Yeah,
vice
I
versa.
miss it. I
Yeah.
miss my curls, but I'm happy with what
Happy
I have.
with your health condition.
It's
yes.
very thick though.
It is thick, and it's very white, which is fine with me.
So October 1st is a big day. What day of the week does that fall on?
That's a Sunday.
It's on a
Oh,
Sunday.
it is on a Sunday.
Let's say
Okay.
show people around for the weekend then.
That's perfect. So we want to let all our viewers know that you can register online for a Run for the Cure. We encourage you to do that. The more the merrier, for sure, for this very, very worthy cause. We want to thank Roxanne McKnight and April Richardson for joining us
Thank you.
today and telling us all about this great project that you guys are looking after. And we wish you the very best in raising as much possible. We know Miramichi can outdo
Big
what
heart.
they did last year, for sure, for sure.
I don't think I'll do the 5K this year, but I might do the 1.
You can do
That's
that.
all
I'll
it
do the
takes.
10 just to be different.
That's
I'll
all
do the
it takes.
1.
No,
I can
exactly.
do 2.5 right now, so I might do the 1.
Good, great.
All the best with this.
Thank
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back with more Have a Chat after the break. We have the founder of the Josie Foundation up next. Jake Stewart is going to be talking to us about that. So don't go away. We'll be back with more Have a Chat. And we're back with more Have a Chat. We were just chatting with Dr. Roxanne McKnight and April Richardson about Run for the Cure, the CIBC fundraiser that's coming up October 1st. And we don't want any of our viewers to miss the chance to register online and be part of that great
Run
fundraiser
for the
that's coming
Cure.
up. Definitely.
Yeah.
Up next, our next guest is Jake Stewart. He's joining us to talk to us about the Josie Foundation. Hello. How are
Only
you?
man today in the motorcycle producers.
I know. Should I be concerned?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
should. No, it's all good.
Yeah,
No,
and he's
we're
all by himself, so.
No, it's really fun. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, for in case there is somebody out there who doesn't know who Jake Stewart
I don't
is.
think anybody does it.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Blackville and did some school teaching. I coach a lot of sports. Currently the MLA for Southwest Miramichi Bay de Vin, founder of the Josie Foundation. I used to do a lot of fishing when I wasn't in the job that I'm in today.
Yeah, because we never hear of anyone doing that here.
No one ever does that, right?
That's rare.
Yeah.
And you're a singer. Do not forget that. You have a
Yes.
CD out. Beautiful
Really?
musician.
Thank you.
That's true.
I made an album a few years back of songs that I'd written in university.
Oh,
So
cool.
the songs went back as far as 97 up to about 2006, but it was released in 2011, sort of unofficially. There's a part of me that wants to go back and do it proper. And the album recordings were good, but just the way I didn't understand how to market it at the time, and no one really knew me outside of the few areas where I'd sang over the years. So
Sure.
it was
I
fun.
have it and I listen to it.
Good.
Every day.
And I love it. I do.
That's good.
I can't lie, but I do listen to it often.
But you said you coach sports, and you coach one of your kids' sports teams, and they did quite well this summer, didn't they?
They won the prevention.
Right.
Which
And
sport?
they are
Baseball.
so pumped.
Baseball,
Baseball?
right? Yeah.
Okay.
I love coaching baseball. I love hockey and soccer, and I
Yeah.
still coach them. I coach all three, but baseball is my favorite.
Yeah, I
And
love
it
the game,
always
too.
has been. And the kids, we have a team out of Blackville. We have 7 kids from the Blackville school, 3 from the Millerton school,
Nice.
2 from NSCR. and we would have maybe one more from somewhere else. I have to think about that, but we won, and the kids were running out to the mound, and they were running in circles, and there was dust flying everywhere.
Of course.
It was awesome.
Exciting.
Oh, they
And
were,
really hot.
How old are they?
Yes.
they're 11. They're 9, 10, 11.
Oh my goodness.
And you have 4 children, ages 11, 10, and then down to
7 and 4.
7 and 4. Busy man. And then you have the Josie
Yeah.
Foundation, which is a beautiful foundation to be proud of. So,
So
did
tell
you
us how Josie, the Josie Foundation got its name, and how you came up with the idea to start the foundation.
Well, I had an idea for a lot of years on trying to do something to, sort of commemorate my grandmother. My grandmother was Josephine Sturgeon, would have been Josephine Keenan to a lot of people before she got married. And essentially, she had a big impact on my life, and I never forgot it. So I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do. So I over a couple of years, I'd ran through different ideas, and nothing ever stuck. And then one night I had this idea, and I was scared I was going to forget about it because I don't always write everything down. I do more today than I used to, but back then I didn't. So I called some friends, and we all came in and sat down, and they were just like, "Okay, Jake, what's up here?" So I told them, and I thought it was still kind of a crazy idea.
No,
but
there's
they
never
loved
a
it.
crazy idea.
They loved it, and I loved it. They loved it, and fortunately for me, some of the people around this table wanted to really take it and run with it. And there were a lot of things we had to learn, like getting a charitable number
It's tough.
and becoming legal and all this stuff.
There's a lot of paperwork that goes along with it.
Governance of a board is really tough.
Absolutely.
You think, well, a bunch of volunteers show up and everything's great.
Yeah.
But especially when you're dealing with finances, you need to make sure that it's all working well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the funniest moments earlier on was the lawyer that we hired was T.J. Burke.
Okay.
And he had been a Liberal minister. And, politically I'm PC,
Yep,
but
yep.
he comes into the Irving in Blackville. He says, "I'm looking for Jake Stewart." And I just happened to be in there, and everyone just kind of looked at him.
Yeah.
They're like, "This is weird." And I'm like, "Hey, buddy, how are you?"
I'm not looking for you.
Yeah.
Well, we always got along well, and I knew we had a mutual friend, and so that was kind of unique. But the name is named after my grandmother to commemorate her, and then we have a working board of directors, all not-for-profit, completely.
No, all volunteers.
They're all volunteers. There's no government involvement in any way, shape, or form. We have no paid employees.
It's so unusual because usually you
it's,
have a foundation with a paid director.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a
And
full-time job.
It would be nice down the road, maybe, but right now it's all heart and soul and
Yes, it is.
sweat and just people that care. That's
And what I
basically-
like is that there's no political, like you're a politician, but that's off the board because right now this is your project. This is your soul, heart and soul legacy to your
Yeah.
grandmother.
And
you
I
know?
never know who they help. And I
No.
said it once in the speech. I was telling people often, it happens a couple times a year, and I'll be walking on maybe Newcastle Boulevard or somewhere, and some lady will stop me and thank me, and I won't have any idea who I'm talking to. So I don't know if somebody called my office and maybe my assistant maybe helped them or something, and sometimes I have to ask. I'm like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't remember. I'm sorry, and I don't know who they are." And then they tell me, and it's all because of the Josie Foundation.
Yes.
So
But-
tell everybody what the Josie Foundation
Yes.
does.
Well,
So
basi-
where does the money go, and who does
What's
it help?
it for
What does it do?
specifically?
Specifically, if people that get chronic illness, long-term or chronic illnesses, they often, a lot of the time, they could be working along, like this lady you had on earlier, like she just one day had cancer.
Yes.
Changed her life, and what happens is often the financial strain comes alongside of that.
That's right.
And then if they're married or not married, somebody's working, and then their money's tighter, and groceries are still expensive. And so the Josie Foundation doesn't look at purchasing like medications or helping in that kind of. What they do is they help with groceries,
Gas.
all the sort of necessities that people overlook how those costs build. So that's kind of what we
They
focus
can get
on.
out of hand,
They can get way out of hand.
right?
Well,
when you
like
stop working and all of a sudden
unfortunately,
you start.
when you get sick, the rest of life doesn't stop, right? I mean, you still have to pay all of your bills, like you said.
Everything.
You still have to pay.
My
You still
mortgage
have
payment
to
still
Feed
comes
your
out.
children.
You know,
have
you
to
still
feed
feed
the
your
mouths
children.
in the house, clean your house, all that stuff.
and maybe transportation back, like April was talking about, her transportation back and forth to treatment.
Yep.
And that gets expensive because it's an unintended expense that you didn't budget for.
That's right.
When you sat
Yeah.
down this year, you didn't say, "I'm going to spend $1,000 on gas before
No,
Christmas."
No.
Yep.
Right.
And some people, like I'm sure they just randomly find out that they have to go to Halifax 9 times in the next month or 2 or something, and that's a lot of gas.
4 hour,
Yeah.
it's 8-hour return drive.
Sometimes they're staying in a hotel, and I know that we can help with that too. That's
With the
a part of
lodging,
it.
you can?
The lodging, we can help with the lodging and food, groceries, and sometimes I know the foundation throws in Tim's cards and grocery certificates, and so it's really good. It's a really a unique way to help someone because it touches the small things that you can't plan for.
Well, even simple little
going
things.
to
I'm
happen.
not sure if you do this or not, but I keep thinking if I was not well and I had to be in bed, the housekeeping, my house would be upside down in no time with everyone in my house. So
Mine
little
too.
things like that. You don't realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, Judy, you've been involved the last few years. You MC the fundraising dinner.
Yeah, I have been. My husband and I, for anyone that doesn't know, is a physician, and he's been practicing, it must be 34 years by now. And when he heard about this foundation, his heart went right to it. He said there are so many various foundations, and they're all worthwhile. Every particular one has their good points, strong points, and valuable. You should contribute to each one if you can. However, this stuck really close to his heart.
Because he would see it every day.
He would see it every day, and he sees those who go without and who need, and he sees how sickness affects everybody, not to the extent that it might affect me or you with a gallbladder, say, versus a life-threatening illness, but he sees it, and he sees that some people just can't find the way to get to Moncton for their treatment or to put food on the
Well,
table.
that's just it. Would there be someone who wouldn't
And
know?
we love the foundation.
I see it too.
Yeah.
From my end of it, like what I do for a living. And he's been unbelievably generous.
Who?
Dr. Gerard.
Oh, my man. My man.
Your man. Let me tell you.
I thought that's what you were talking about. Because he truly believes it, and that's you give from the heart when you have a true.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to quote him because this is funny. We were at a dinner somewhere, and I don't remember if it was the Josie Foundation annual dinner or if it was just another dinner that I was attending and he was there, because that happens too. And it was a couple of years ago, and he came up to me and he said, I want to talk to you about this. And I said, yeah. And I stopped and he said, it's a genius idea.
Yes, he thinks.
He said, there's one thing I don't like about it. And I was like, oh God, I wonder what he doesn't like.
What can I fix?
He's like, the only thing I don't like is that I didn't make it. And then he grinned.
And
he teases me about that.
He thinks it's just a
wasn't
rocket
his
science
idea.
idea. No, he loves it.
He said, who helped you with that? And I said, look, it was just an idea, and somebody told me it was great, and that was it.
And it is.
But he's been awesome for us and for the city, and in many endeavors as well. But he's been a godsend to the Josie Foundation because we didn't have a big marketing campaign and a huge splash of marketing, and we just didn't. That wasn't our expertise. People just wanted to help somebody, wanted to help people. So the first couple of years, we were kind of slowly, people would say, "Oh, that's interesting. Oh, they helped so and so. Isn't that nice?"
Yeah.
But then after, since 2011, I find we're more well known now, and I know that we reach a lot of people because I run into people that I don't even know that are thanking me for something I don't know what they're thanking me for.
And the same for me, Jake. So I'll say they know that my husband and I contribute.
Yeah.
And so they'll say, it would bring tears to your eyes. This one man came up to me at a pharmacy, and he said, I just want to tell you, and he was crying. He said, how much that money that you gave went to helping my wife, who's now deceased during her journey with cancer, and my kids and myself who couldn't work because we had to look after her. And it brought tears. He was crying, I was crying.
Yeah, of course.
And you look at those students from Blackville, for example, another group. These young people, mostly high school graduating class, get their ideas together and do bake sales, they do all this stuff, and they might contribute upwards of $1,000 to the Josie Foundation because they know the importance of it.
Because that's what I was just about to say.
Makes
So
me
where does all
proud.
this money come from, Jake?
Yep.
Where are you getting it besides the big dinner that they put on?
Well, we have a dinner, and I know lately we've been doing something like we had a booth set up at one of the events, and was it the Tall Ships or the
Yoga Day or both?
No, it would have been tall ships, I
It
think.
might have been Tall Ships, and it was.
Yes, it was.
I know there's a booth set up, and you can give donations, and we had thought a lot about doing some sort of lottery, but we never got into that, and it's mostly donations. And when people pass away, sometimes people will say, like, how people give to the Lung Association of Heart and Stroke.
Yes.
There- More and more people, and it's slow starting, but a lot of people have thought, well, they were nice, maybe we should donate to
Give
them.
back.
So that's happening.
Right.
And I
Good.
think we'll likely see that happen a lot. And we've had some big donations. We've had a lot of donations from Dr. Loge, and we've had some very successful dinners. So
You've had some wonderful speakers at your dinner.
Oh, that's a highlight.
they are the highlight every year.
like
no
Besides
question.
the MC, they
Oh, well.
Always the MC.
The MC is a pretty big highlight, too.
I had to get a laugh in there.
Always the MC.
Joking.
Yeah.
She thinks that for real.
No.
She thinks I'm being
Authentic.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't make it this year, although I really did want to see Aaliyah. But I have been to a few of them, and really the speakers have always been
They've been
quite phenomenal.
unbelievable.
Look at who we've had over the years. We've had Aaliyah
Candace
Summers.
Carnahan.
Yeah, I mean,
Candace
Candace
Carnahan.
Candace
Carnahan.
Carnahan, who
She's
lost
amazing.
her leg in an industrial
Yeah.
workplace
She's
accident.
and she was. I was just following her on Facebook the other day, and she's over in Europe speaking now. She's
in
a keynote
Australia.
speaker. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I
She's
see
a-
that
yeah.
on Twitter.
yeah. She's a keynote speaker at this big conference.
And Sam Johnston,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
just blew us away
Yeah,
with
that
his
was,
speech. And
we
he
were
just,
floored by pretty much all of them. To
well,
begin
he had
with,
a
but
10% chance of living, and then
Yeah,
he
his
just won the
was-
Taekwondo World, the Masters.
Yeah,
I know.
Unbelievable.
And a little Aaliyah Summers was our youngest guest speaker.
she was unbelievable.
Unbelievably
Yeah.
beautiful girl. Went through cancer at a young age.
Same
She's-
time as her mom.
Yeah, she's still
Yeah.
only 13, and she was a guest speaker, and her mom and her together fought. They were going
Yeah.
through chemo at the same time.
Wow.
That was
Okay.
powerful.
No,
Yeah.
It
exactly.
was.
So how does someone say, I think I might need the help? Well, how do I get a
How do
hold of
you-
you? Do I just pick up the phone and call?
We have a website,
Okay.
and it would be josiefoundation.ca, and you can apply online. There's like
Okay, you do.
you can
There's
literally
an application.
you can apply right online, and then somebody from the foundation will call you
Okay.
based on the number you provide or the email, however you choose to do
Okay.
it. So
And
that's
it's
the easiest.
confidential, eh? Like it's not
Very.
like you said you don't
Totally
even know.
confidential.
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea
Yeah.
who gets
No.
help. I don't. I know sometimes people come to me to my office, and I'm like, look, I'm sorry, you got to call the number, and then they do, and then I'm out of it.
Yeah.
But I've
No.
got a lot of people on the street that thank me, and I don't know who they are.
And that's great.
It
but it's
feels
good
really
that
good.
Yeah,
You
and,
know?
but it's good that it's confidential.
Yeah,
That
because some people would have a hard time.
right asking for
Oh.
help.
Asking for
Right.
help.
Not everyone can get online, so sometimes
No,
at my
that's-
office, I meet people there that just maybe don't have the internet or
Right.
aren't on
Yes.
they're maybe older and they just don't get into the internet, and
Right.
so then I steer them into a phone, and it's usually President Lois Tozer. It's
Great
a lot.
We've had
lady.
Lois on the
Oh.
show. She's amazing.
She's unbelievable.
I know she is.
She would field probably all of the calls that aren't from those who do it online.
Right.
Right.
And then we have a lady by the name of Phyllis Davidson that drives the certificates and the cards all over the region, like as far
So
as
important.
Boys Town all the way to Nigawak, so I mean she's driving all the time, and then we've got just a lot of people a lot of hands, and
That's
they're
amazing.
really
So
working
the
hard.
foundation serves Miramichi and surrounding areas. You're saying it
Yep.
covers up to Boys Town. It would
Yep.
go down as far as where? What's your
It
circumference?
I think basically we kept it between Boys Town and McGivney,
Okay.
and as far down as Nigawak. And I believe we've helped people in Nigawak, but I couldn't say with certainty.
Sure. But
Yeah.
the application form, if I have like a chronic long-term lung disease, for example, that would qualify.
Yeah.
And I can't work because of it.
Yeah.
So I would write you the application form, and the board would assess it, and then they
Yep.
would approve, and then from there you get the contact made and
That's
the help
right.
given.
The voting board members, they sit down and then determine where this.
If it fits in the criteria.
Wh-
Because
if it fits.
could a family member apply for that
Yes.
person who is
Yes,
not
that,
well?
that has happened. That's
Right?
happened many times. Yeah.
I
That's
would think.
wonderful.
Yeah.
You must be quite proud.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it would be though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was looking at it through the lens of great idea. Everyone tells me it's a great idea, but I didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
Success.
You don't know. You know what I mean? But looking back, it's one of the best things.
People are jumping
And
right
I
on.
know.
but your grandmother must be quite proud.
She would love it.
She's watching.
She was
Yeah.
really laid back and not wouldn't like the camera, and she'd be tickled pink, but she wouldn't want anyone to see her and have to talk.
Right.
She wouldn't want to have to
Right.
talk about
Right.
it,
Yeah.
But
Well, we want to thank you so much for
yeah.
joining us today and filling us all in on
Yes,
this
that's been
wonderful,
fun.
wonderful foundation. And we'll definitely keep an eye out for more of your events that are coming up. And, to raise money, you can go online. You could probably even make donations there as well.
that's right.
think.
You can.
Okay.
Yep.
You can help in
Definitely.
any way you can,
Yeah.
but be small or big amounts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For
Thanks
sure.
so much again, Jake, for joining
you.
us. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for watching
fun.
Have a Chat. We'll see you all again next week.